Sure thing.
So, who is Gloomstone?
I am a Indiana-based producer and DJ, and I've been producing for about 7 or 8 years now, and been DJing in VRChat for almost 2 years.
All right, all right. What brought you to VR chat in the first place?
When I first started, I had my Quest. I had just like the standalone Quest by itself, and and I had known about VRChat, and I would decided to play it just on a whim one day, and I was like, I'm probably gonna play this and just like never play it again. But like, it completely changed like everything for me, like my social life and like all my friends that I have are in here, like, and then eventually it led to like me finding out about the whole like music and rave scene and everything, and it was awesome to like find that because it really like cemented like my place like in here. I feel like as like something that, like I really wanted to like be passionate about.
Yeah.
It's like VR and everything is super it's like super important in my life, like 100%.
So, VR has like impacted your life very heavily to the point where it's like, would you say like you could go maybe a couple months without it, or like, do you think like your social life?
Oh man.
Yeah.
It would be hard, I'm not gonna lie. I think like I mean things like Discord and stuff obviously help a lot.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I mean, before I was playing this, I was pretty isolated. It was really just kind of me, and it was just me, and like I was like making music. When I wasn't making music, I was like I was playing video games and stuff. But even then, like I didn't play a lot of multiplayer games. I just played a lot of like horror stuff, like single player horror stuff. And then when I started playing this was like when I really kind of was like, damn. I was like, I never realized how much like lacking a social life was kind of affecting like my mental health. And
Okay. So you would say
and
that
yeah, it was really
so you say that VR chat like kind of boosted your social health, or your mental and
yeah,
social life?
absolutely. Both, like 100%. When especially like when I first started, and like when I met like my first like core group of friends, like they really like they changed everything for me. Like in terms of it put that like mindset in my head where I was like, dang, like I was like, I can't wait to get off work to like talk to my friends, because usually what I was doing was like I'd get off work and just like I'd stay up till 5 in the morning just like working on music, and like that was it. And like I had nothing else that like I was really like concerned about. And and don't get me wrong, like yeah, it was nice to like have like that grind of like always making music and stuff, but like the other aspects of my life, I didn't realize how much they were lacking until like I kind of came in here and like made like a lot more friends, and like uh it just like I'm saying like a lot.
You're good, dog. Don't worry about it.
Like I lost my train of thought. um yeah, no, it long story short, yeah, it had a really impactful uh like impact impact on on me 100%. And yeah, it boosted a lot of things in like my mental health, and in terms of just and like my social behaviors too, because like yeah, like at the time like I was working a job where like I worked by myself. I'd come home, be by myself, so like I was really just kind of isolated. I was just kind of like in my head all the time, and it wasn't good for me mentally.
Yeah.
So like once I like found like my friends and everything, it was really it was nice to like it was fine. It's like taking a break away from like my head, because like at the time, yeah, I was really messed up, like super in my head all the time, just overthinking, like over analyzing everything, very, you know, very OCD, like anxiety type typical things, you know. And, yeah, meeting my friends in here changed everything for me in like the best way.
That's fucking awesome, bro. So what would you say like your inspirations are? Like let's start like earlier on, like when you were producing, like starting out to produce. Like, what were your inspirations?
When I first started, my first inspirations were like I was really big into like the SoundCloud like rap scene at the time. Like I was listening to like Young Lean and like Bones and Xavier Wolf, and like when they were all popping off, and like and I wanted to like produce beats. That was like my main thing I was doing. And then like, but like my influences always came from like metal music. Like I was really big into metal music, and like that was like my main thing like for like most of my younger years. But then like I was in bands and everything, and like things would always happen where like they didn't work out, or like, you know, eventually, you know, like your friends grow up and they don't have time for that stuff, and it's like it's totally understandable.
Yeah.
And like when I started producing stuff, it was kind of like it's kind of like, you know, it's like, oh, like I get to like figure out when to work on things. Like I don't have to like have like 5 other people work around schedules to like be able to like do things now. It's just on me. So like it made it a lot easier. And then like when I was doing that for a long time, and like and like as I started producing more, I kind of like got more into like, yeah, I got more into like electronic music and stuff, and like artists I was finding on SoundCloud, because before that, like electronic music was like there, but like it wasn't very prominent. Like it was just kind of like every once in a while I'd be like, oh yeah, like this is cool, or like that's cool. But like I started diving deeper more into stuff in SoundCloud, and like it was more like on the experimental side. It was a lot more like that's kind of like when I started like finding out about like Witch House and like um wave and like stuff like that, and that stuff was really like it was like really like having an influence on me at the time.
Yeah.
And then like so I really liked, and I liked the idea of like I started finding more like experimental artists that are kind of like pushing like the envelope of like things being like in terms of like distortion, and just like things being super loud and noisy, and like that's always been like kind of like my thing. Like I've always been super like the bands I listened to growing up were always like I always wanted that step up. I always wanted that like, oh, like who's like heavier than this, who's faster than this, who's this and that, you know, like the more and more like pushing the envelope on stuff.
Yeah.
And like and I started finding that in like the electronic music that I was like diving into in like SoundCloud and stuff. And like I was always just seeking more and more and more. And then eventually I kind of like, I'm saying like a lot, when I started producing like the beats and stuff, like there was a part of me that kind of wanted to branch out and do things that were kind of like standalone, you know, things that weren't, because like it was cool, like I had a lot of fun making beats, but like I kind of wanted to like make things to like express like how I was feeling and like get my emotions out there in like my own way. And like and then eventually, yeah, I just kind of like, there's like certain artists like within the scene that I was like really like getting into, and like I like took huge influence from them. And like yeah, it was a lot of Witch House, trash wave, like like wave, hard wave, stuff like that. Like it was all like it's just like an amalgamation of like all those things. And then at the core too was like the metal stuff, because like I always wanted to like, I always liked the energy of like metal music, and like I always thought it was a really interesting idea to like translate that type of energy into like an electronic track, but like without like combining the two like exclusively, you know?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
would you care to explain like what Witch House is to people that have no clue like what Witch House is?
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure there's gonna be a purist who's gonna like push their glasses up at me or whatever. But like for me, it's like the most bare bones way I could say it is just like it's like trap, like oriented, like heavy synths, a lot of like deep sub bass, like distorted sub bass and Reese bass and things like that, and like with like a very like occult vibe, like spooky vibe, you know, and
Okay.
like just overall kind of like haunting, kind of scary sounds and stuff, and like and I always like took a lot of influence from that, because like the beats I was producing at the time were all trap oriented too, and like I was making trap beats. I was making like trap metal stuff for like a little bit for people, and like it kind of like came at the perfect time where I was like, yeah, like I think like that's what I want to do, like that's how I want to like show how I feel, or at least I want to take like influences from that and like put it into what I make.
Okay. And then so you produced an album called Wilt. Like what would you say like was going through your mind at that time?
The whole album is kind of about um the effect of like mental health and how like over time, like if you're not doing something to take care of it or to like treat it or to like um just do something about it, that like eventually, yeah, like you feel like you just kind of turn into like a shell of like yourself, like you wilt like away,
Yeah.
you know. And like it's because like at the time when I was making it, yeah, I was very, very depressed. And I was feeling like that. I was feeling like I'm never gonna go back to like the person I was. I was feeling like um I was feeling like I wasn't gonna like be the same person anymore. And like and I was thinking about that, like that concept in my head of just like oh like if even if I even like if I continue to be this person, like is it gonna be for the better? Like is it gonna be something I learned from, or am I just gonna be like I don't know, it's just like a bunch of just like ideas in my head, all pretty depressing to be honest.
Yeah.
But like
That's all good, bro.
but like but yeah, like that's where it came from. It was just a lot of like me dealing with like my mental health, and I was just like, man, like there I came to like a crossroad where I'm like I need to either like do something about it or it's just going to get worse. And I guess Wilt was like an idea of like how would I feel if it just kept getting worse? Like, and it was kind of like going down that road of like what would happen if it just kept getting worse.
How did you get into the VR chat DJ scene?
Oh, the very first like ever thing I went to was they had the EDC thing in here like last year, and they just had the DJs up on the screen. They were like live streaming it and stuff. And I remember being like, oh, like this is really cool. Like had a lot of fun going to that. Like that was like the first time I saw like people dancing and everything and stuff. And like I was like, oh, this is sick. And then like from there, I like my friends had like found some other places to go to that are kind of similar. But then like eventually we came around and found like Loner, and that like changed everything for me, because I was like wow, like this is so cool. Like and even then, like I didn't do a whole lot of like I didn't really know much about DJing or anything. Like I just kind of like I had like my music, and like that was really it. And like but it was so cool going there and like see people do their thing and all this stuff. I was like, this is so sick. Like, and like I had like a friend of a friend who like was like friends with some of the people who like knew the people there, and they're like, oh, like you should check out like my homie Gloom. And I was like man, I was like listening to like the music that they played there, and I was like I don't think they're gonna like me here, dude. Like I was like I don't know if they're gonna like if they're gonna dig what I do or whatever, which is totally understandable. And then but now like they were like they wanted me to play, and like it was really cool. Like I got to play there, and it was a blast, and it changed everything for me. It literally changed everything for me, because like after that day, like um I was like man, I couldn't get enough of it. It was so fun. Like it was cool seeing everybody like vibing with like what I was doing, um and like the community, like everybody in the community was like super supportive, and like like everyone is super friendly, and it's addicting. And then from there I just kept making friends here and there and here and there. And then and then of course like the more people come in, there's more and more venues that pop up. There's more DJs that come in, and it's been great ever since then. It's been sick. I've met so many cool, awesome people.
Nice. So, in June, you played for this really well-known club in VRChat called Shelter. Um, how did it get to that point where they reached out to you, and how did you feel playing Shelter?
Oh man, it definitely felt like a once in a lifetime opportunity. When up before that point, like I was around a long time ago, back when Shelter like was first starting, and like I had back when 2TD had made the SHELTERNET label, I had made a track with Purge, and we had released it through SHELTERNET. And then at the time, Shelter also had Deli's, the little side place where you could play too, and like we did like a celebration of the single being released, and we played at Deli's, and but I had never played at like the main stage of Shelter. And then like eventually one day 2TD approached me and said like, hey, did you ever play the main stage? I was like no, I played at Deli's. And they're like oh, okay, well, you're up.
Just
And
like
like
that?
pretty well, like I mean, of course, like I played so many shows between here and there, and like there was a lot of like I think there was a lot of I learned a lot from and I'm really glad I kind of it took a little bit to get there because I learned so much between those times, like in terms of like my DJing and like my style and things I wanted to like things that kind of like I wanted to work on from there and like up until this point. So I'm kind of glad things kind of panned out the way they did. It
Oh,
was a it's a really awesome opportunity. I'm beyond thankful for it still to this day.
so that brings me into my next question. You said you were like you were really loving the community. What is like one of the favorite parts of this rave community in VR chat that you like cannot get enough about, like that you think that it would just not be the same without?
I think it's the variety and the fact that like there's a lot of people who DJ things in here that like they wouldn't be able to do those things in like a real life club, you know? And it's really cool that like people have the opportunity to like experiment and try new things in here with like less of a consequence, you know? Because like, you go to a club like in real life and say somebody spends something that's like kind of out of the norm, and then there's going to be people who are like, oh, like I paid this money to be here and blah blah blah, and like I don't want to hear this and blah blah. But like here, it's like there could be 50 different things going on, and if you don't like what's playing at one place, you can just go to another place. And at the same time, you don't like that place, go to another place, so on, so on, so on. There's always options because there's so much variety. There's so many different types of people, like so many different types of genres being played. Like things that people wouldn't even think to DJ. Like people are DJing it in here, and it's so sick. It's so fucking cool. And I love that. I think
Yeah.
that's like I think that's what makes it so like unique in here. Um, there's just so much room for like new opportunities and stuff. There's so much room for like variation. I think that's my favorite part.
The variation. And then so when you were talking about like choosing different places and stuff, right? And obviously you have shelter, like let's say you have a loner, you own your own venue, your own area called Static, and you own it with Slippy Mudman, correct?
Yes. Mhm.
How did that come about?
Me and Slippy at the time we were throwing pop-ups here and there, and we were always toying with the idea of like, oh, it'd be so sick to just like have our own place, you know? Because like at the time, like it's like we were just kind of like finding places that we could, and like um, but it didn't feel as personal, because like it was like other people's places and stuff like that, and like um, eventually we played a pop-up at one map that we started doing them at for a minute, and the owner Gaze happened to show up, and he's like saying like how awesome it was that like he thought it was cool that like we were playing like at his place and blah blah blah, and I had approached him about possibly commissioning him to like make us a world because I love the world that we were playing in, and he was down. So then after that, me and Slippy kind of threw some ideas together, like things that we were thinking about, things that we wanted to do for the place, and then I just like kind of like sent those ideas to Gaze, and I would talk to Gaze like over like Discord while he was like building the place, and then and then after it was done, then me and Slippy kind of like started thinking, brainstorming ideas for like how we what kind of place we wanted it to be, and like the type of like vibe we were going for, and blah blah blah, and and ever since then it's been great. We just kind of like we just want it to be a place that's like more open for like more experimental things, and like we'll and like like we're always welcome to like anything that anybody wants to play. We just kind of want people to just play like what they really want to, what makes them happy, without any limitations. And it's been cool to see so many people like reacting or like getting to like view or like listen to like new genres they never heard of, or like just new experiences in general too. And it's all very like music oriented. Everybody's like super like into the music. Everyone's super like focused on the music and like the artist or the DJ themselves, and that's something I've always really liked too about like stuff in here too. Is like those venues that are very like oriented on like the performance of the person and like what they're doing, as opposed to just like a, you know, like a club where everyone's just kind of like drinking and not really paying attention to like what's going on.
Yeah.
So like that's always been, it's been really cool. It's been really sick.
Okay. When you're DJing, right? Some people have come up to me and say like, oh, like Gloomstone's sets are like always like an experience. You have to be there, like to really like enjoy it and everything. What goes like what goes through your mind when you're DJing? Like,
I
what? Oh, I'm sorry. Like what? Like
oh no,
what
no, you're
thoughts?
fine.
What thoughts go through your head? Like, how are you feeling? Like, are you like really feeling the music? Like obviously you pour your efforts into the set, right? Yeah. So
Yeah, I oh sorry, go ahead.
so yeah, the main question is like what goes through your head while you're DJing?
I think like when I talked to you, well, like when I told you about like me growing up and like being in like bands and stuff, um, one of my favorite things about like those performances with like metal bands and stuff was just like seeing like how crazy the band would get live and stuff. Like I always appreciated like the energy people brought. Like like I was always one of those people who kind of like it's like yeah, it's really cool if like you can like play all your songs live and like do this and that, but like but if you're just kind of standing there doing it, to me it's like not as interesting. I want to see like them like have fun. I want to see people like I want to see that energy, you know, because to me that's kind of like shows like how like passionate they are and like how much they love what they do and stuff. And I fucking love what I do. Like I fucking love being able to go crazy and stuff, and like and I never got to I didn't get a lot of opportunities to do that in those bands, and I feel like I can finally do that in here. So like when I'm finally like doing my thing, I just want to go crazy. I just want to like I got so much energy that just comes up like out of nowhere as soon as like I hit play. Like everything just like anything I'm worrying about, anything that I'm thinking about is just gone, and like all I want to do is just go nuts and just like and just like release all the energy I have, and I want people to feed off that too, and just like uh and just like, you know, like vibe with me, go crazy with me.
Which a lot of people when I've come to your shows and I've been there, a lot of people like interact with you, interacting with them. They feed off your energy, and as well as, would you say that you would feed off of theirs as well?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. If as soon as there could be one person out there going crazy with me. That's all it takes. Like I'm gonna go
Yeah.
crazy too. Like absolutely. And like it's just so cool to like and I'm sure you can relate too. Like anytime you see somebody just go like oh my gosh, or like you hear somebody just say like holy shit, you know, like it's such a good feeling. And like
Yeah.
and yeah, like it makes me feel super good. Like it just makes me want to go that harder. It makes me want to just like jump up even higher. It makes me want to like fling my arms around even more. It makes me want to like just like jump around more. It just makes me want to go even crazier every single time I hear anything like that, or whenever I see somebody just like having fun. Like it's great. It's an amazing feeling. Like I'll uh I'll never take anything like that for granted. Like anything that's like any type of like reciprocated energy, like I'm always gonna appreciate that. It's super awesome.
Nice. Um, so going back to like DJing and DJ to DJ, right? If you ever would make a mistake, not saying that anybody's noticed it or whatever, right? If you were to make a mistake, and to people that like want to become a DJ, like how do you fix that? Like during a set, like you're live, you're doing all of this, you notice your mistake. There's some DJs that are gonna be very self-critical, right? And they're gonna be like, "Oh fuck, I fucked up," yada yada. Do you have any
Mhm.
advice for those DJs like during that moment?
It's gonna happen. Like they're like you're never gonna be always perfect. Like there's never gonna be. I mean, like yeah, you're gonna have sets that are better than others, but like stuff like that is always gonna happen. It's bound to happen. it's about how you can like what's the saying where it's like it's not about like how hard you get punched, it's about how hard you can get punched and still get up or whatever, you know? Like it's like as long as you just keep doing your thing, like, and keep just like bringing like keep like bringing the energy and everything, bringing like the like what everybody wants, like most of the time people aren't going to care. Like most of the time the only person that's going to care is like yourself. And as long as you can just kind of like get over that stuff, and I get it, it's like it's more like it's easier said than done. But like as long as you can just kind of roll with those punches and just keep going, don't beat yourself up over it. Don't let it get you down. Don't let it like ruin the rest of your set. Because then if you let it ruin the rest of your set, that's what's going to make it even worse. You know what I mean? Just take what you will, like learn from it, so that the next time, you know, you'll think about it more, or and then just for the rest of that set, just keep doing what you're doing and you'll be fine. Like 9 times out of 10, and I see it every single time somebody gets off stage, they always say like, oh, I messed up, but I never even noticed it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, or like they'll say like, oh no, I messed this part up so bad, but like I was watching the whole time and I never even noticed anything. Like, but in your head, you're always going to be your biggest critic. So like, I guess my best advice is just to don't beat yourself up so much. Don't be so hard on yourself, because like the harder you are on yourself, like the worse you're just going to make it for yourself. You're gonna be even more critical. You're gonna be even more like strict on yourself, and it's not worth it. You just kind of like learn from it and just take that and just keep rolling.
Okay. That's actually some like really good advice. I'm gonna take some of that actually. So you recently released some of your own remixes on SoundCloud. Would you care to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. They've just kind of been like in my back catalog, and I just save them for like shows. But I've had so many people say that they want them, so I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna put them all out there. I love doing remixes of tracks, especially tracks that I already love to begin with. So like, and like all 3 of those tracks are tracks that I really love. And like I think I just like I like putting my own little spin on stuff, and like and hearing people, and of course like when people hear something that like they're familiar with too, it gets them hyped up, you know, and like and I like to just bring my own type of energy into those tracks, and that's kind of like what I did with them. I think like I just kind of like brought like my type of vibe into those tracks, and I think they turned out pretty good.
Yeah. So this was a question that I honestly forgot to ask at the beginning. But you know, we're just rolling with the punches.
Sure.
And I'm sure like some people out there like want to know this. Like, how did you come up with the name GLOOMSTONE?
This is way more anticlimactic than I wish it is, but like I used to have my old name when I produced beats was Mr. Chambers, and at the time it was a reference to an episode of The Twilight Zone, and like but I kind of wanted to, when I started like making stuff that was like venturing away from the beats, I wanted to change my name. So I had another name that I went under, and it was called Legs Like Twigs. And that was kind of like basically Gloomstone before I was Gloomstone. But then what I ended up doing was just like I didn't want to balance 2 projects, so I just want to combine the 2, but I wanted a new name for it. And I was just like, I was like at work one day just kind of like thinking of like names. And I was just, and I'd been trying to think of names for like, I don't know, like a couple weeks or something like that. But then like, I was just trying to think of like random like things that people find, you know, like normal, typical like haunted house shit, you know, like, so I was thinking like tombstone in my head, and I was like, what's something that's kind of like another word for like tomb? And I was like, gloomstone.
I see.
And then like, and then I was like, well, I was like, does it make sense? And then I was just kind of like, well, I kind of make kind of like sad, kind of spooky stuff. And I figured like Tombstone kind of matches like the spooky vibe, and Gloom matches like the sad vibe. So it's just kind of like those two together. And then like and yeah, it just kind of stuck ever since.
Got you. All right. So we kind of hit the 30-minute point. We're kind of done with the serious questions now.
Sure.
On Twitter, right? You like post your tracks, you advertise static and all that stuff. But when
Sure.
I first found you, one thing that really stood out was that you were posting a lot about this restaurant called Pizza King. And I wanted to know,
Mhm.
I wanted to know like what is Pizza King to?
Well, first of all, shout out to my homie Esena, because they're a fellow Hoosier, fellow Indiana native, fellow VRChat homie, and I forget how we got on the subject, but he was talking to me about like, yeah, I'm gonna get some Pizza King, and I was like, yeah, I haven't had that in like a minute, and then like we were kind of discussing about how like it was like, it never really occurred to me that it was only an Indiana thing. Like I was just kind of like, oh, like, because like I'm always, like it's weird being in Indiana because we don't have a lot here to like brag about, like there's not a lot of things I can be like, well, we have this and like you don't have that, so like people in California like have a bunch of cool stuff, Texas, all that, all around the US, and then like here like we have Pizza King. Like so like I don't know, it's just it's like it's what it's like it's just like some weird dumb thing that I guess I just kind of cling to, I guess. But also it slaps. It fucking slaps. It's so good. And like it's the best pizza in a bag you'll ever have.
That was my next question actually. So it's true that they serve it in a bag rather than a box.
I think it's select locations, but yeah, at least the ones that I've gone to around here, they come in a bag. It's like they put it on like a piece of cardboard, like a circular piece of cardboard, put it in a bag, roll it up, and then just hand it to you.
Gotcha. Okay. So what are your favorite like pizza top? Like what pizza do you usually go for then?
Honestly, my favorite pizza is just straight cheese. Like I
Really?
like just straight cheese, but like I mean I'll eat like I like pepperoni, sausage, salami. I even like pineapple, but like but honestly my favorite is just straight cheese. I just think it's like it's just simple and
Gotcha.
just like makes me happy.
So, but talking about things that make you happy, like what are some things that like you do like on your free time when you're not in VR chat, when you're not producing music, like when it's really like Gloomstone time,
I watch a lot of movies. I watch like a shit ton of horror movies. I watch a lot of like videos on YouTube, top 10 compilations of like spooky shit. I watch like I like to, and I like to, I play a lot of like horror video games. Like I'm just a big like horror dude. I love scary stuff. I like being scared. I like and also what else do I do? Let me think.
Well,
No, that's really honestly that's the main stuff. I watch a crap ton of movies. Um, Not just horror movies though. I do watch like I watch everything. Watch a little bit of everything, but horror movies is usually like the main thing. And like I said, I play a lot of video games, mostly horror centered too. But like I play Minecraft, I play Call of Duty, play stuff like that too.
I mean, I've been scared in Minecraft before. I'm not gonna lie. Like especially when creeper comes by, bro. I'm done. I'm out of there.
Dude, like the sound effects are just like 10 times louder than anything else in the game. So
You're
like
right.
you could just be mining, doing your own business, and then just like when a skeleton hits you with an arrow, like in pitch black,
Yeah, it's just
pitch black darkness.
So, what is your favorite horror movie? Like, if you had to pick one, or like, you can do like top three if you can't choose, but like, your
Okay.
favorite of all time, like horror movie.
Jeez. Well, I mean, like, I think everyone would assume that my favorite horror movie is like The Ring or The Grudge, because that's kind of like what all like my music is kind of centered around, like a lot of J horror stuff.
Yeah.
Which they are definitely up there. Don't get me wrong. Those are two of my favorite movies. The remake, both the remakes and the original ones. But I think my favorite horror movie, and I don't even know if you could call it a horror movie. It's more like it has like horror themes. Is a movie called Ichi the Killer. It was like the movie that like got me into like more like foreign film and stuff like when I was younger growing up. I like blind bought it one day from someplace. I had no idea what it was. But I was like, this looks interesting. Brought it home, watched it, and it just like changed everything for me. It's about a Yakuza group, and there's this guy, his name's Ichi, and he's like kind of like a big like coward, and like he doesn't like ever leave his house. He's super depressed all the time, blah blah blah. But like if he gets like mad, he turns into this like crazy like insane like killing machine. Like he wears like a suit that has he has like a knife that pops out like the back of his foot, and like he like splits people in half with it and stuff.
Oh shit.
And like there's eventually he kills this Yakuza gang's boss, and then there's somebody under the boss who is trying to hunt Ichi, and but the main reason that he's hunting him is because this guy's boss used to beat up this dude, like his underling. He would like beat him up, and like he like enjoyed it. And once he found out that somebody killed his boss, he was like, oh wow, like somebody killed my boss who like beats the shit out of me. Like I gotta find this guy because I want him to beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
So like it's a really weird, it's almost like a love story kind of, but but yeah, there's a lot of horror themes. It's super gory and bloody and nasty and stuff, and there's a lot of messed up stuff in it. But like, yeah, ultimately, I think that's like my favorite like quote unquote horror movie. I guess my favorite traditional horror movie would be like either like The Ring or The Grudge. But
kind of closing in on the end of the interview, I'm gonna like kind of bring it back. Do you have any upcoming like special plans or anything you're producing that you're like willing to share a little bit, or are you like, do you have any plans for like with Static that like that you can kind of tease?
For right now, Static is just going to keep doing this normal thing bi-weekly every other Saturday. Hopefully we'll have some new updates in the future. Some cool news, some cool things. I want to kind of keep it on the hush, but like hopefully like when it come out, everything will be cool. We got a lot of cool ideas coming up for that. Right now, yeah, I'm trying to like take some time to like make some new music because it's been a minute for me. Like I feel like even though like the last album isn't that old, I feel like I gotta keep like doing my thing. I gotta stay busy. I gotta keep making new things. So like that's kind of like the priority right now. Is just try to take some time to like make some new music and like buckle down on that. And then in the meantime, just try to play some more shows in here, have fun.
Okay.
And yeah.
So, last question. If you had anything to say to anybody who's watching right now, like it could literally be anything. Like Bing Bong type beat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or whatever. If you had anything to say to the people out there, it could be about mental health, it could be about whatever you want. Like what would you say to them?
Life is too short to not be yourself. Like by all means, never let anybody tell you that anything you do is too weird. Don't let anybody tell you that anything you do is like, just because somebody else doesn't like something and you like something doesn't mean that you're not allowed to like it. Make your mental health a priority. Do what you want to do and have fun doing it. As long as anything you're doing isn't hurting you or anybody around you, go for it. And don't let anybody judge you for it. Just have fun. Life's too short to not have fun and not be yourself. Bing bong.
This is great ending.